This is the Wait For It podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wait For It podcast. I'm your co-host, Phil Barrera, aka Phil the Filipino.
And I'm your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And we are following the footsteps of our fellow podcasters, Retro AV Rewind, as they are in their Magical Girls season. And they recommended, as patrons of the show, the movie that we are going to talk about on this edition of International Feature. And that is The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Yeah, revisiting the Mamoru Hosoda well, as this will be our third film in his filmography, and I wouldn't be surprised if we knock out a few more here over the next few months, years, whatever it may be, Eric. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time came out 2006, and yeah, very excited to discuss this one. This is fresh on both of our minds as we watched it here within the last day or two, and excited to get into it. The last one we covered, I believe, was Wolf Children, and then Belle before that. So let's get right into it. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Stick around to the very end. We'll let you know where you can find all the rest of our content. But let's go ahead and get into the letterboxed synopsis. When 17-year-old Makoto Konno gains the ability to quite literally leap backwards through time, she immediately sets about improving her grades and preventing personal mishaps. However, she soon realizes that changing the past isn't as simple as it seems, and eventually will have to rely on her new powers to shape the future of herself and her friends. First and foremost, Eric, did you watch this in sub or dub?
I watched it in dub.
Okay, I did as well, and we'll talk about how well that was executed. You know, now that I've both of us have spent a lot of time speaking with voice actors and lining up the lip flaps, it's difficult, especially when you're talking about a film that is incredibly dialogue heavy and dialogue dependent when it comes to The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. And one of the big conversations about watching these films, Eric, is Phil just a Hosoda guy and not a Ghibli guy? And I think The Girl Who Leapt Through Time is really leaning even more so in that direction, that these are my films. These are the types of films where I find my comfort zone, where I am very easily attached to what's going on in the storyline. And I'm once, as we alluded to in the very beginning, like, I am anxious and excited to explore more of these films. So I'm just happy, Eric, that I think I've at least found my groove. So now when people ask, you don't like Ghibli films? I'll be like, yeah, well, I'm a Hosoda guy. You know, I feel good about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's totally fine. I don't know that that's going to help you very much when it comes to those arguments, but
not for the ones that, you know, don't ever listen to reason, but for normal people, yeah.
For normal people, yeah. No, and I mean, you could always say you're a Makoto Shinkai type of guy as well. So, I mean, there's other works of art within anime films that you have enjoyed. For me, I'm going to save the comment I have about Hosoda, because it's going to come off as insulting, but it's not. It really is a compliment. What I'll say right now is that there is not a film that I've watched of his that I've yet to enjoy. And that's the theme here, I think, for the both of us. I know Belle was a little bit of a miss for you, and I like it a little bit more for reasons we've discussed. But Wolf Children really kind of showed us what this director could bring as far as a vibe. And that vibe is very much present here with this movie. Phil, watching it, I went dub because we had a good experience with Wolf Children in dub, but I do know at this time, you know, dub wasn't what it is now. Keeping that in mind, it didn't distract too much because this movie is beautiful to look at. It is very well animated. And I think for this movie came out in 2006, it absolutely stood up to the test of time. Did you feel that way looking at it?
I did. And we're talking about, other than like one set piece that pops up that's a repeating set piece, there's nothing in here that's like really grandiose, such as in Wolf Children, such as in Belle. It's a city, it's a school, it's a house. And all of that looks really solid. It's a really, really pretty backdrop, and all of that animated very, very well. The characters are animated very well. There is a lot of really good storytelling told through that animation in terms of not just dialogue, but like facial expressions and tones and everything like that. So yes, I definitely agree. And The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and Wolf Children, I think animation wise there's definitely a step up. I mean, we're talking about a 6-year difference between Wolf Children and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. But I like that between those 3 films that we've watched, stylistically, all totally different. And I think that is something that is that really sets these films apart, and I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me the most was that they are different, but they also have a lot of underlying similarities. This movie very much gave me both Wolf Children and Belle vibes, and those are the films we've seen. So to continue to watch his filmography would be interesting, because I know there's going to be elements in each of these films that are used multiple times, but that doesn't make it feel rehashed or cheap. It just feels like his style, which I think worked really well. Ultimately, this movie doesn't work unless you're invested in the characters, and specifically our main character and the trio of characters we spend the most time with. I'm very curious, Phil, what you thought of this semi-love triangle relationship, and obviously all of this taking place with time traveling, so to say, in high school. What is that kind of vibe done? And feel free to talk freely, because, guys, this movie came out in 2006.
It's 20 years old.
It's 20 years old. This is a feature of ours, so we probably won't give away any major plot points. We'll probably keep spoilers, and we'll call that out at the end in case you haven't seen it. But, Phil, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I think as far as a friend group, they are believable. In terms of the actual conversations and struggles, it was very relatable. I think, too, when you put yourself back into the shoes of a teenager, like Eric, we in different points of our lives, we have been this friend group, right? There have been somebody in the friend group, we have had a combination of friends like this. So I think it was very relatable, and it could be very relatable to a lot of people, and even dating to today, I think people could find themselves in that. Even though it came out in 2006, you really could set this at any time period. So I very much enjoyed that. Where it did it did get convoluted is, who is Makoto really into? Because you really get different responses and stories from other characters in the movie. So at a certain point, you're like, which one of these guys is for Makoto? Because they both have really good qualities. It's not like one of them, I think, is inherently better than the other than one has a really cool power, obviously. But between the two of them, in terms of their personalities, both solid choices. So it's not as like like the only other thing for some reason that's popping in my head. It's not like a Twilight thing where you like draw a line in the sand.
Yeah, there's no
I feel like
Team Edward here. No.
Yeah, I like both of these characters. You could choose either one.
I would agree with that. It was kind of like a cat and mouse game as far as the relationships, and I did like that. I think for me, one of the things that I really tried to let happen was to allow the story to cook, and to allow them to navigate through these relationships, through these feelings, which at some points, especially for Makoto, very frustrating reactions or actions to these feelings. So there was a lot of that going on. I think most of it worked up until about the third act. But I think for me, Phil, the most appealing thing was the time traveling aspect, which we've talked about before, is an overused trope. I don't know that this is original, but the way they kind of explained how it worked in this movie worked pretty well for me. Did you feel the same?
I agree. I mean, even just visually, the idea of this girl having to literally leap to get through time, I thought maybe that'd be a little bit on the nose, but it made for some pretty comedic moments, and also just it's a different type of time travel mode of transportation, whatever the word is I'm looking for. Like, I haven't really seen anything like that before, so yeah, I thought that worked very well. I'm still a little confused on why am I blanking on the character? Oh, Chiaki. I'm still a little confused on the how and the why, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment, like what you just alluded to, the third act. But yeah, no, when it comes to time travel, this is definitely one of the ones where like I enjoyed it more so than other instances where we're seeing it unfortunately pop up a lot more here recently, and to varying levels of success.
Yeah, I think the time traveling worked a lot for me until, again, that third act. And that's where the story can kind of get a little convoluted. We'll probably save some of that for the spoilers. But yeah, the relationship between all three of them is definitely the standout. Chiaki, Kosuke. I liked a lot of the supporting characters that kind of came in and about the story from the school. But other than that, there were a couple confusing characters that we'll talk about at length as far as what their purpose was or maybe some of their background. Specifically Aunt Witch, I think that threw me off a little bit, and maybe that was on purpose. So there's a couple of those things that we can't quite get to yet. I think the biggest thing to highlight, though, is those characters, is the cinematography, which are probably the two biggest standouts. Are there any other particular highlights, Phil, before maybe we talk about some of those lowlights a little bit further?
Well, you mentioned this right before we started recording. It's an hour and a half, so it's a really easy, brisk watch. But no, those are the primary things. I mean, it's fairly simple for us at this point when it comes to international features and late to the parties. Give us likable characters, give us a coherent story, and you're going to get a solid response out of us. It's crazy how it seems so difficult sometimes for that to happen with some of these films that we've covered. But no, between all of that, we'll shout out the English cast. Emily Hurst played Makoto, Andrew Francis was Chiaki, and Alex Zahara played Kosuke. Like you said, for the time, very, very good in 2006. I would actually, maybe not like openly like right now, but down the line would probably watch this again in sub just to see if my experience is a little bit different. But those are the primary things. Do you got anything before we transition? Because there is, I do want to run something by you and see if you feel the same.
No, I think we hit it on the head. I think if you want to get a little bit more of a different or unique perspective on this film from maybe a spoiler-free perspective, I don't know how they're going to run the episode, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but we're going to be on Retro AV Rewinds episode, which will drop the day after this. So make sure to check that out for some additional perspectives. And I think, Phil, when we get into opportunities, this may be the spoiler warning, because I feel like a lot of the opportunities have to do with the plot and some of the ways that the events of this movie unfold. So this may be that official spoiler warning coming up here in just a bit.
Yeah, so I very much enjoyed this, and just like I've enjoyed basically all of his other films, you know, even Belle, like I gave a 2.5, but really, really loved Wolf Children. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, it's like teetering on greatness, right? It is like there's just something missing, and I think it's likely the ending, right? And you talk about the third act in general, but I think the ending for sure they needed to nail, and it kind of just becomes like a speed run of stuff throughout the end. Again, 90 minutes. You probably could have added another 15 and really fleshed this out a little bit more. But like that's definitely what's preventing it from, I think, ending up higher probably on both of our lists. Is that there's just something missing, and I'm hoping that maybe you can give me something outside of what I'm thinking of. Is it just the final act?
Yeah. it is. When we talk about our scores, I think our scores would have been a little bit higher had they nailed the ending, and I'm glad I gave that spoiler warning because it's the Chiaki reveal. And the reveal itself is telegraphed, and it's done well. Like when time stops and he's there, like the tension is there. It's just like the explanation. Maybe I'm missing something from the watch through. I have not deep dived into videos to understand why this painting was so important. Maybe you caught that messaging, or maybe I missed it. I don't really know that was ever really explained. And then as we kind of speed run through this reveal and the consequences of all of that, the movie's kind of like ends on an anticlimactic note. Like there is no real answer or conclusion to everything we just went through. Did you feel that way? Because I don't know, maybe I missed something.
What I gathered is where he's from in the future, these things don't exist anymore. And he came back specifically to see this painting, which also, and then at the time had not been reassembled yet by Aunt Witch, who I agree with you, I thought was going to be a much bigger player in all this. I thought did you maybe think that Aunt Witch was Makoto from like another timeline?
I don't know. That's the thing. I was like, maybe she is. Maybe she's one of the other girls from the high school. I don't know. Apparently, there was like an original novel, and I think she might be a character from that. They were highlighting that character in a way that made it seem like she was tied to the story.
Like how the Your Name characters are in Weathering with You?
Yeah. but other than providing her opinion on Makito's time leaping and her relationships, like there was nothing else that was developed for that character to be important.
And how did she know like what time leaping was?
They didn't explain that. That's the thing.
So unless she herself is a time leaper.
Well, she said she did. She
did
do it.
Okay.
But she made it sound like, oh, this just happens to girls your age.
Or maybe that it was like a family thing. That's what I also assumed too. Is this her actual aunt?
I don't know.
Okay.
Why is she called Aunt Witch?
Yeah.
Is it because she can time leap? I don't know. Like, that's a thing. And
so
it was confusing. There was also a picture I remember with her and like two guys, but they weren't the same two guys in the film. So it's kind of alluded she went through like almost the same exact thing. Again, those breadcrumbs are nice, but if you don't give any answers, you have to nail that ending with what you're trying to do and still leave me wanting more. This movie left me wanting more, and I felt like it didn't give a good ending to the plot it was, providing.
Because you tell me if I'm wrong, the "I'll be waiting for you" all come running lines. If like they nail the 15 minutes prior to that, it's an all-time line. But because I'm a little confused, it falls a little short.
I was like, how are you gonna?
Yeah, but
you guys are never gonna.
You guys are never gonna see each other.
You guys are never gonna see each other again, because it was also implied like, how far into the future is he?
Doesn't he also make an allusion to that there is no baseball in his future? Like, it seemed like things were pretty bad where he came from.
Right.
So, also, is he an adult? Is he a teenager? Is it creepy? Did he come back as a teenager? I don't know. Again, sometimes we complain about films being too long, and then this just needed an extra 15 or 20, or maybe we needed some additional context, and Retro AV Rewind is going to, like, Bart Simpson us to be like, this is what the movie is about. But
I hope so. And again, I'm gonna definitely look into it a little bit more before we jump on that episode, because I'd like to understand. But what we're giving you guys right now that are listening and watching is our immediate reaction to seeing it. So, our grades will reflect that. But that's ultimately where it stands, Phil, is like, I don't need to be handheld through the film. And honestly, for 3/4 of it, I was fine. And then, like most movies that deal with multiverses or time travels, it just didn't all come together in a clean-cut way that I thought was natural or made sense. Something seemed off about the direction they were taking, and there wasn't enough subtle imagery or hints that were given to me that I picked up on for me to make it feel like it was part of the flow of the plot. And that's my maybe biggest gripe with this film, and my biggest negative, because everything else, again, was good, if not great.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I was stressed when I thought Kosuke and that girl were going to die in front of that train. I was
great
stressed
tension.
out. And then again, we get the Chiaki reveal, and then everything that happens after that. So, yeah, just on the cusp of, like, being, I think, one of those all-timer repeat watches. So the way we're talking about it, I'm sure our scores are pretty solid. It's just we were like right there. I think that's probably the most frustrating part. It's like you were so close. Like you were so close to.
And man, if we were girls, it'd be at least another half to 1 star up. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
We'll see what their scores are. We'll see what.
Respectfully, it's not a guy girl thing. Actually, it is.
You're making it a guy girl thing.
It might be. I could to that point though see back in 2006 how like this would have had a really strong impression on like a young girl watching this film. I do think she's both emotional and sensitive, but also at times can really be like headstrong, and I like that about her. So like as a female protagonist, I really like this character, and if I'm gonna remember anything about this movie, it's gonna be about the actual girl who leapt through time.
For sure. How do we rank them between Belle, Hana from Wolf Children, and Makoto?
So I preferred Wolf Children a little bit more, but I did like this a little bit more than Belle.
Yeah, that's an easy conversation for me as far as Belle and the other two. Hana, gosh, she's so great. She has just a kind of a wondrous charm about her, and also just a trying your absolute best. Whereas, Makoto is a teenager and just trying to figure everything out as well. I will give like a slight edge to Hana, but it's close for me. It's definitely close.
It's much closer between Hana and Makoto than Belle. And for Belle, and I may have mentioned this on the episode, I can't quite remember. Belle is towards the bottom part of my list as well for international features, but the reason I have it ranked a little bit higher is because I like really enjoy the music, and I think I gave that an extra edge. Plus, that was also that was both of our first films potentially for his filmography. But I don't know, I thought it was really unique. And Phil, I guess I'll make the comment now that I was going to make earlier, which again is going to seem insulting, and I don't mean it that way. But Hosoda's films, and if we continue down this road, are the most like above average films you're going to see. Like that's not meant to be an insult. It's that he makes really good films. I just don't know if I'm ever going to see one of these and think they're great. And I could be wrong. So if you have a Hosoda film that you think is an all-timer, let me know. But Phil, I think in that aspect, it's similar to Ghibli films where everyone has a Ghibli film. I think everyone probably has a Hosoda film. Maybe we just haven't found that one that is like an all-timer for us.
Well, I want to watch all 3 of these in theaters. They're coming out this year. I want to rewatch Wolf Children. I want to rewatch this. And then Summer Wars comes out in theaters as well. So maybe when that comes around, that'll be a good opportunity to add that to the rotation for international feature. You guys let us know.
I believe
Wolf Children
Ivan
is in May.
Yeah, I believe Ivan's also mentioned The Boy and the Beast, which is a 2015 film.
Okay.
And then Mirai, which is one that I've seen pop up. Those are kind of the last ones, other than like a bunch of Digimon or other like kind of one-off.
Yeah, these were the first movies he did. I think The Girl Who Leapt Through Time was like his first non-Digimon or One Piece like really like franchise film that he had done. But Wolf Children will be out in theaters May 11th through the 13th. Summer Wars is July 27th through 29th. And then The Girl Who Leapt Through Time will be in September. So that'll give us a few months to settle on this and then revisit it again and see how we feel. And, maybe we feel differently, like you said. I would be open again to watching it in either sub or dub for the ones we have already seen. For Summer Wars, I probably want to watch that in dub. That one came out in 2009. And all these have similar grades, too, when we talk about Letterboxd. So we'll transition to that here, Eric, as far as reviews and reception. Belle does have the lowest Letterboxd score of the ones we have watched, so I do feel a little vindicated in my opinion on that one. But yeah, let's head to the numbers and see how this one was received. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 84% tomato meter score. That is only 19 reviews, but still pretty solid. 90% popcorn meter score. And then over on Letterboxd, it currently holds a average rating of 3.9, which again validates us as something that is just barely missing the cut of something truly, truly special and iconic. And that'll probably reflect, I think, in both of our grades, Eric. I gave this a 3.5. And, who knows, maybe seeing it on that bigger screen, getting more time to reflect and look into the meaning of the movie and the backstory, I will feel differently, but something that I would certainly watch again. It wouldn't be at the very top of my queue to show other people, but I really enjoyed this, enjoyed the characters, and I'm happy that we got to it.
Same. I'm definitely glad that we're not going to be guesting on an episode where we have to shit on the movie they asked us to watch.
Also, 2 for 2 for Patreon month so far. So,
man,
and also let you guys know the other one is trending positively. So we're feeling
cool.
good. Yeah,
great. Good. I was so nervous. You hadn't asked me to pull up in a Discord, and I was like, he either got it or he stopped playing it.
I'm just trying to figure it out on my side. I got my dick kicked in earlier tonight, but we're feeling good. So
welcome
Weight Watchers are killing it. So
yeah, welcome to that world. For my score, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, I gave a 3.5. And if I could say anything about this film that hasn't already been said, it's a movie that is so close to proactively telling people to watch, but in the right circumstances, I think this movie is for so many people, and people that have missed out on it, I could easily recommend this to them in those casual conversations. But this is not a movie that I would ever proactively jump at the bit and say that everyone has to watch, or that I do a watch party for. It's a movie that if it was on, I would absolutely sit down and probably get sucked into a little bit of it. It's just held back by the third act, and specifically the way that the conclusion of the film occurs. And that's ultimately what it is. At the end of the day, upon a rewatch, maybe I will feel differently. Upon learning new information about how the ending can be interpreted, maybe I feel differently. But about 24 hours removed from actually watching this, that is my feeling and my score. And on our list of international features, this is actually right behind. It's right at 22 on my list out of 31. Right behind Tokyo Godfathers and right above Perfect Days. So, Phil, where did this land for you?
Basically the same. It's number 21. It is right behind 28 Days Later and Before the Raid.
That's a crazy sandwich right there. That is
two really intense films. Speaking of the Raid, didn't the director just release a new film? Gareth Evans, didn't he come out? We're totally off track here, but didn't he do something?
Possibly.
Somebody released a movie recently that had to do with the Raid. We'll
he released a movie with Tom Hardy in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Havoc.
Yeah.
Or I don't think it's come out yet.
Okay, it's coming out this year, I believe.
Yeah, apparently this movie, the only thing I know about this movie, and we're going off on a tangent. I believe so, but I also heard it was in production for years. It's been done for years. So yeah, no, maybe
you like the Raid way more than I did, so maybe you'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and honestly, I definitely, I think there's also the Raid 2, which I hear is great.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but Netflix is releasing the film in April, and this movie began, beginning for a filmography in 2021.
Interesting.
So okay. October 22nd, 2021, filming officially wrapped.
Oof.
That was 4 years ago.
That's a good sign.
Almost 4 years. So
that's
anyway,
we doing
enough about this
more
random
like
Tom Hardy movie.
Are we doing more like these or similar films?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Not for international feature,
compared to
but
some other time travel films. Did you prefer this over either Weathering with You or Suzume?
Yeah,
I know you hate Suzume, so that doesn't count.
I hate it. Yeah, no, I hate it.
What about some other time
travels? Have I scored that on Letterboxd? Hold on a second. Actually, let's. I did. Yeah. Oh, I gave it a 2.5. So did you.
Yeah, Suzume's not. It's fine.
So we both hate it equally.
No. Okay, so you admit that a 2.5 is a hate for you.
I'm going to drop it down to a 2.
I got him. So okay.
No, I'm going to drop it down to a 2.
What about other like time travel-y style film? What about you haven't seen my old ass? What about Eternal Sunshine? It's not necessarily time travel-y, but
I've never seen that.
no. Oh, we might have to. That might be one of those. Okay.
I didn't rate Weathering with You. Yeah, no, I definitely like this. Yeah, I'm going to give Weathering with You a 3. Because I like Weathering with You a little bit more than Suzume, but both of them are
I haven't rated Weathering with You. I'll give that.
How about Across the Spider-Verse?
Okay, well, okay. Never mind. We don't have to do this.
No, if you want to do this, let's do this.
A hot tub time machine.
I'd probably pick this. Oh, yeah.
A lot of these I haven't seen. Now that I'm scrolling through this list,
It's probably not one of those things you want to just do on the fly. You know what I mean?
what about this movie called "I Want to Eat Your Pancreas"?
I've heard that's really good.
3.9.
Yeah, no, I've heard that movie's
Holy
good. Like, no
shit.
joke.
We got to do something
No
about these
joke.
names, anime.
We don't.
We got to do something.
We don't. But, guys, that was our episode here for The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Thank you again to Bridget and Vintage from Retro AV Rewind. Brintage, as one person calls them. And thank you guys for recommending this, because it was, despite our complaints, especially towards the ending, most of this movie, absolutely fantastic, and one that we'll definitely talk positively about overall. But Phil, anything else you want to add before we start to kind of close this episode?
No, I don't think so. I guess if you guys want to maybe make a movie night out of one of these when we go to the theater in either May, July, or September, let us know. We loved meeting up with people for RRR, so maybe we can do it again. You know, another wait for it film outing. I think that'd be a fun time.
Okay. Well, then, you can close the episode, Phil.
I didn't know if you were going to have any comments on that, so I just wanted to see if you thought it was a good idea. Okay.
No,
I didn't. I thought you were going to be. No, that's stupid. Let's just close out the episode.
Okay. The last maybe 5 minutes of this episode completely just derailed. So I'm sorry about that, guys.
So Twilight. Let's talk about how that compares.
Please no.
Okay. Well, everybody, for those of you still here for some reason, thank you so much again for joining us for another episode of International Feature. If you want to keep up with us and all the rest of our content, make sure you follow us over on social media. You'll find everything in the Linktree link in the show notes. Instagram, TikTok, our growing Discord page. We also upload videos to YouTube now, and we are streaming more frequently, very, very soon, over on Twitch. If you would like to also follow our personal journeys, Eric has been on a really fun journey as far as his content creation, and I am in the pursuit of becoming a voice actor. So any of that support from you, from not only the podcast page, but also personal pages, goes a very, very long way, and we thank you so much for everybody that has jumped on board already. If you want to support the show, you can head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave us those 5-star reviews, recommendations. All of that is extremely helpful, and continue to tag us in content. Let people know that you're listening. Let us know that you're listening. All of that goes a very, very long way. But if you find yourself maybe feeling a little bit more generous and wanting to join the famous Weight Watchers, Eric will let you know a little bit more about that before closing us out.
So, to become a Weight Watcher, all you have to do is join us on Patreon, where patrons of the show, Briar, Stefan, T3 Kato, Corey from The World Is My Burrito, as well as, you've heard them already on this episode, Vintage and Bridget from Retro AV Rewind, are supporting us on that platform in exchange for exclusive perks like behind-the-scenes access and early access to episodes like this one. We're doing a lot more bonus content this year, among other things. So come on board, become a Weight Watcher today. And if you can't do that, you're not missing out too much. You can always do all the free stuff and connect with us. That's the Discord, social media, anything to do with the podcast, from the likes, the comments, the listens, the engagement. Those things go a mile and beyond when it comes to our success as a podcast, and we truly appreciate the support. With all that being said, my name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host, Phil the Filipino, who bought more cards at Spookala. Need to stop. Maybe we'll open those on Patreon. Who knows? Maybe he opened them already. But the thing you need to know is that we release episodes every Wednesday with the bonus content on platforms like TikTok and Twitch. And all you got to do is wait for it.
This is the Wait For It podcast.